Unraveling the Miraculous Shift, 7 Divine Reasons Your Hobbies Fade After Sacred Awakening. Sarah sat in the old church, the air thick with the scent of incense and the soft, flickering light of candles casting gentle shadows. She felt something shift deep within her, a stirring so profound it was as if the heavens themselves had opened up. "You are chosen," a whisper echoed in her heart, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. With every prayer she spoke, each one became a thread of an intricate tapestry, weaving her life closer to God. The weekend retreat had ignited a divine flame in her soul. No longer did the mundane tasks of parenting fill her thoughts. Instead, she envisioned painting murals that told stories of faith, creating gardens that blossomed with prayers. Everything she had once loved began to fade, overshadowed by this newfound passion. It was both terrifying and exhilarating. Days turned into weeks, and her heart buzzed with spiritual energy, but her once vibrant hobbies dulled to a whisper. The children's room she adored painting, the garden she'd nurtured, all felt distant like a lost dream. She brushed aside their absence, convinced God was leading her somewhere greater. But a lingering emptiness gnawed at her. "Am I abandoning my family?" she questioned in the quiet of night, fear breaching her newfound joy. The atmosphere grew tense at home. Her husband, Mark, felt the weight, the burden of her changing priorities creeping closer. The children, too, missed their mother's familiar presence and laughter. Without the color of her creativity, their home felt colder. Then there was the prayer, the powerful prayer for protection they held monthly, as they invoked Saint Michael. Never had Sarah felt so raw, yet so alive in that moment. It was a plea for guidance, to both the divine and to herself. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking, "show me the way before we continue. I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The days that followed tested her spirit. The air felt charged with divine urgency. Then came the storm, the dark clouds of despair, when her youngest, Lily, fell ill. The illness seemed stubborn, evading every doctor's grasp and drowning them in sleepless nights. Sarah's heart fractured, fear squeezing tighter than a vice. Yet, in that chaotic moment, something miraculous flickered in the shadows. As she sank to her knees beside Lily's bed, she felt a wave of divine clarity. In relinquishing the earthly distractions, her old hobbies, doubts, and fears, she began to pray earnestly. The flickering candles stood witness to her pleas, casting warm glows that felt like a silent choir of angels, harmonizing her cries. Her soul poured out a fervent hope, tears falling like a sacrament. Days turned on an axis of faith and fear, until finally, like dawn breaking through, Lily showed signs of recovery, an unprecedented miracle illuminating their once dim home. Yet, questions swirled in Sarah's heart. What now? What does this healing mean for her family and her journey of faith? Was this the beginning of a transformation, or merely the chaos before a greater storm? The uncertainty lingered, heavy in the air, as Sarah stood at the threshold of a miraculous life ahead, waiting, praying for God's next move. With the dawn breaking softly through the curtains, Sarah felt a sense of hope budding within her heart. The house was quieter than usual, a testament to the peace that had settled post-Lily's recovery. Yet, this tranquility felt fragile, like the first light of day peeking through the darkness. As she made her way to the kitchen, Sarah noticed the untouched canvases stacked against the wall, their vibrant colors calling out to her in muted tones. Perhaps today's the day, she mused. A flicker of inspiration danced in her soul. The thought of replacing the memories of her faded hobbies with new creations rooted in her faith brought a smile to her lips. But as she poured herself a cup of tea, a shadow of doubt eclipsed that light. Would this new passion be enough to sustain her family's spirit? As she stirred the tea, she caught sight of Mark sitting at the kitchen table, bent over a crossword puzzle. His brow was furrowed, an expression she had seen too often lately. The worries of adulthood, the bills, the responsibilities loomed heavy on his shoulders. "Hey, love," she said softly, drawing his gaze and eliciting a small smile in return, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Lost in thought?" she teased gently. "More like lost in a maze," he replied with a weary chuckle. "Any luck with your hobbies?" There was a wistfulness in his tone that tugged at her heart. She hesitated, her newfound enthusiasm momentarily dimmed by the weight of his words. "I want to paint again, Mark. I feel it in my heart. But it's like I've forgotten how much joy it once brought me." "I thought that's what made you you," he said, placing down his pencil. "Maybe it's time you reconnect with it again." His encouragement felt like a balm to her spirit, but Sarah wrestled with the fear that pursuing her hobbies might mean leaving her family behind once more. In the following days, Sarah made it a point to carve out time to paint. Picking up the brush felt like rediscovering an old friend, each stroke bringing back memories of laughter-filled afternoons with the kids. As colors swirled together on the canvas, Sarah prayed fervently, pouring her joy, her questions, and her fears into her artwork. One night, as she painted under the glow of a single lamp, she paused. The image she was creating, a mural depicting a scene from the New Testament, spoke to her deeply. It represented not just her journey towards faith, but also the collective journey of her family through trials and triumphs. Every bright hue reflected a prayer, every shadow a moment of doubt, yet the composition radiated hope. Suddenly, Lily burst into the room, her little feet padded softly on the wooden floor. "Mommy! What are you making?" The excitement in her voice warmed Sarah's heart, illuminating the room in a way only a child's presence could. "Something special, sweetheart. Would you like to help?" Lily's eyes sparkled with delight as she climbed onto a stool beside her mother. Together, they splashed bright colors on the canvas, laughter intertwining with the brush strokes. In this moment, Sarah realized her creativity wasn't the enemy of her motherhood. It could be a bridge, a way to connect her spiritual journey with her family's heart. That evening, as they finished up, Sarah could hardly believe how the house, once filled with uncertainty, had transformed into a vibrant space buzzing with love and joy. Yet, even amidst these newfound joys, an inner question echoed louder: was this truly the purpose behind her awakening? God had ignited her passion, but what of her family's needs, their connection? Was she meant to merge her divine calling with the everyday moments of family life? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, Sarah sat in quiet contemplation, waiting for an answer, feeling a divine murmur tugging at her heart. The air was thick with anticipation as Sarah sat quietly in the fading light, paintbrush poised above the canvas. Her heart beat steadily, a rhythm of faith pulsing through her with each passing moment. She closed her eyes, breath catching in her throat. Was there a divine whisper waiting to be heard? It felt almost as if the colors on her canvas were alive, vibrantly alive with possibility, awaiting her creativity and devotion. With a mix of apprehension and excitement, she dipped her brush and painted, layering hues upon hues as her spirit sang silently in prayers. All at once, it hit her: this was more than a mere hobby. Every stroke became a prayer, a dialogue between Sarah and God. Each color told a story of trials, of love, of the ups and downs that defined their life as a family. The room pulsed with the echoes of laughter, the warmth of family, and a profound sense of belonging. She longed for them to see the beauty that faith could create when intertwined with the mundane. With each passing day, she painted fervently, often recalling the moments that had sparked doubt in her heart, moments of fear and uncertainty. She prayed, asking for wisdom, for understanding and answer to her restless heart. One evening, as she stood before the canvas, Lily wandered in, her tiny fingers smudged with paint from the previous day's adventure. "Mommy, can I ask you something?" Her inquiry hung in the air, weighted with innocence. "Of course, sweetheart," Sarah replied, turning to kneel beside her. "Why do you paint so much now?" Lily asked, her eyes wide and questioning. "Is it for us?" Taken aback, Sarah pondered for a moment. Was this new passion manifesting God's will for her family? "Yes, love. I paint for us to remember how much we mean to each other and to thank God for every moment." Lily's face lit up with a bright smile. "Then can I help too? I want to share our love with everyone." In that moment, Sarah realized her journey wasn't just for her own fulfillment. It was a calling to pour love into a collective canvas of existence, drawing her family nearer. She embraced Lily tightly, not just as a mother but as a fellow artist in God's grand design. This was not merely about painting, it was about legacy, relationships, and creating a space where faith thrived. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found her evenings transforming into joyous gatherings of creativity, the kitchen filled with laughter, colors spilling over as the children joined in, each adding their essence to the story being painted. Mark, too, was drawn in, sharing moments of inspiration and joy. Yet, for Sarah, questions remained. Was this the fullness of her calling? This joyful expression blossomed daily, but the deeper divine mystery loomed large. What lay beyond this moment of creativity? As she wiped a sweat-drenched brow one evening, she stared at their almost finished mural. The vibrant colors faded into silhouettes as the sun dipped below the horizon. The image felt incomplete, much like her understanding of her purpose. With the brush resting in her hand, she sensed a shift, a calling to delve deeper into the purpose that had ignited her spirit. The unanswered questions sat with her, not as burdens but as invitations to explore. When she awoke the next morning, she felt something stirring again. "What is it, God?" she prayed. "What else do you ask of me?" The moment felt charged with divine electricity, a bridge forming between her transformation and a calling yet unveiled. Just then, she noticed an unopened letter by the kitchen table, addressed not to her but to Mark. Her heart quickened. What else had she not yet discovered? With resolve, she picked up the letter, reading, "Dear Mark, I need to discuss the future of our community." A shiver of possibility danced along her spine. What awaited them on the path ahead? The morning light streaming through the window cast a golden hue over Sarah's kitchen, illuminating the chaos of art supplies scattered across the table. She could feel a palpable energy in the air, a sense of divine anticipation that hinted at something extraordinary. With the unopened letter clutched in her hand, her heart raced with excitement and curiosity. As her fingers traced the neat handwriting on the envelope, she sensed a whisper within, a nudge from God urging her to be open to the new possibilities ahead. What was written there might be more than just words. It felt like a promise, a beckoning towards something greater. "Mark!" she called out, her voice hanging in the air like a lighthouse beam. He shuffled in, the sleepy grogginess still lingering in his eyes but quickly replaced with intrigue at her urgency. "What is going on?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed but visibly alert. Sarah held up the letter, feeling the weight of its contents. "It's for you, something about the community," she said, her heart fluttering in anticipation. Mark frowned, stepping into the light. "I was expecting this." He opened the letter carefully, the crinkle of paper an orchestra of revelation. As he read, a transformation washed over him, his brows furrowed, jaw set tight, then eyes widening with understanding. "It's an invitation to speak at the upcoming community gathering," he murmured, almost to himself. "To share how our family has grown in faith, and how creativity has changed our lives." Sarah's heart soared, her spirit ignited with an all-consuming fire. "Oh, Mark! That's wonderful. It's a chance to share our journey, to encourage others to embrace their faith, just like we've been doing with our art." Mark's expression shifted from puzzlement to profound realization. "Exactly. But what do we really have to offer? I mean, what if I get up there and stumble over my words? What if I can't convey the depth of what we've experienced?" For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Sarah felt a stirring within her, a voice emerging from the depths of her spirit, vibrant and alive. "It's not about you alone. Just like our art, this is a collective journey. It's an opportunity for us to express our love and hope, to share how faith can be a beautiful tapestry in the lives of ordinary people." Mark drew in a deep breath. "You're right. It's about connection. It's about the community and sharing the profound joy of God's presence in our lives. In that moment, realization swept over Sarah. This was not just an invitation for Mark to speak, it was God's way of pulling them further into his divine tapestry, weaving their story into the larger narrative of faith and creativity. With newfound clarity, Sarah suggested, what if we created something together for the gathering? A piece that symbolizes our journey, a visual testament to faith and family. Mark's eyes lit up. I love that idea. A painting that tells our story, our struggles, our victories, rooted in love and faith. As the day unfolded, they rallied the kids, their kitchen transforming into a vibrant studio once more. Paint color whirled around the room, laughter mingling with the scent of fresh coffee, each brushstroke forging connections deeper than ever before, but as Sarah stood back to admire their chaotic cooperation, a whisper in her heart reminded her, this was just the beginning. That journey into deeper purpose awaited, just out of sight but undeniably present, what would take shape from their collaboration? What new revelations would emerge from the community gathering? As their voices echoed with joy and creativity, one question stirred uneasily in the depths of her mind, what would God reveal to them next? As the sun arched across the sky, painting the room with shades of warm orange and soft golden light, Sarah felt a wave of inspiration wash over her. The clatter of brushes and the cheerful voices of her children filled the room, creating a harmonious symphony of creativity. Each stroke of paint told a story, a fragment of their journey woven into the canvas that lay before them. What color should we use for hope? Little Emma chirped, her eyes wide with excitement. Perhaps this bright yellow? Sarah suggested, lifting the tube. It's the color of the sun, of warmth, and life. Mark nodded, mixing colors to create a vibrant hue. Hope is the light that guides us through darkness. Let us make it shine. As they worked together, they shared stories of their family's faith, each anecdote deepening the ties that bound them. Prayer woven seamlessly into laughter, the sacred and the ordinary intertwining beautifully. Sarah felt the excitement surging in her spirit. Creativity was not merely a task but an act of worship, a way to honor the experiences they had been given. Let us add some blues too, Mark interjected, pointing to the colors they had used during their earlier struggles. It represents the trials we faced, yet even in that, we found beauty. Emma tilted her head, considering. But what about the purple? She asked. That's like the change we've had. We're stronger now. Sarah's heart warmed at her daughter's insight. Yes. Purple is a royal color. It reminds us that we are children of the King. Our challenges led us here. Amid the laughter and focused chatter, Sarah's mind occasionally wandered back to the gathering. Unease flickered like a candle's flame in the back of her mind. Were they truly ready for this? She had faith that God would speak through them, but the thought of standing before others still made her heart race. Mom, can I tell the story of how we first started painting? Emma's voice broke through her thoughts. Oh, sweetheart, that's a wonderful idea. Sarah encouraged, glancing at Mark, who grinned proudly at their daughter. Your voice is important. It'll resonate with others. Mark leaned closer to Emma, whispering, you're a part of this story, too. Our experiences are interconnected, just like the colors we use in our painting. Each of us adds something unique. As they painted, moments of deep reflection ensued. Sarah felt the Holy Spirit hovering over them, guiding her thoughts. It became clear, each brushstroke was not just a mark on the canvas, but a declaration of faith, a profound testament of how far they had come by trusting in God's promises. The joyful chaos soon settled into a quiet reverence. Sarah stepped back, admiring the artwork in progress. The vibrant colors spoke louder than spoken words ever could. It was a powerful representation of their faith journey, layers of trials and triumphs whispering the truth of God's unending grace. But just as assurance filled her heart, another thought crept in like a shadow. What revelations awaited at the community gathering? Would their story inspire others? Would it stir hearts and awaken dormant dreams? Questions flickered through Sarah's mind, each one a reminder of the divine mystery they were stepping into. They were merely instruments in this orchestration, vessels of God's love ready to serve His purpose. As the final touches were made, the room filled with a hush, anticipation hanging in the air. Sarah turned to her family, her heart beating with a rhythm of faith and hope. Together, we've created something beautiful. Let us pray over it. And as they bowed their heads, a gentle breeze swept through the window, carrying the scent of fresh paint and hope, whispering promises of what was to come. What divine surprises lay ahead? What connections would be made beyond that studio? Would they witness transformations of hearts and lives on that day? The gathering was just around the corner, and Sarah felt an electric sense of expectancy swirl within her spirit. As they rose from their prayer, a wave of warmth enveloped Sarah. It was as if the air itself had been charged with electricity, the gentle touches of the Spirit whispering encouragement into her heart. Outside, the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the canvas. The colors danced in the fading light, a reminder that beauty often emerges from the shifting tides of day and night. "Mom, do you think everyone will like what we've made?" Emma asked, her voice laced with a mixture of excitement and doubt. "Absolutely, sweetheart," Sarah replied, bending down to look her daughter squarely in the eyes. "What we've created isn't just for us. It's a piece of our journey, a reflection of our faith. It will touch those who see it, just like our stories will." Mark chimed in, "And if just one person feels encouraged or inspired, it'll all be worth it. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about devotion." The words hung in the air, settling deep into Sarah's spirit. It reminded her that their efforts weren't about impressing anyone but about sharing a testimony of faith and resilience. The truth of their experiences would shine brighter than any brushstroke ever could. As evening approached, the family packed up their supplies, the scent of paint mingling with the warm air. Each item they stowed carried a weight of expectation, be it the brushes used to paint their story or the stories they were preparing to unfold. Sarah's heart beat in rhythm with the promise of the gathering ahead. They arrived at the community center as twilight cloaked the world in silvery hues. The chatter of familiar voices greeted them, a comforting hum that wrapped around Sarah like a well-worn blanket. There's something sacred about being together, she thought, a bond forged through shared experiences and faith. The hall was decorated with vibrant banners, the colors reflected the hope and resilience every family exuded through their journeys. As the people gathered, Sarah took a moment to pause, breathing in the energy around her. There was a palpable excitement, as though everyone knew they were standing on the precipice of something divine. With the microphone in her hand, Sarah took a deep breath. "Good evening, everyone. Today, we're here to share a piece of ourselves through art and story, a testament to the journey of faith we've walked together." Her voice echoed in the hall, fueled by the shared anticipation. Mark stood beside her, ready to share their family narrative, but nervous energy swirled in Sarah's stomach. What if they were met with indifference? What if their words fell flat? The doubts played a tiny game of tug-of-war in her heart. Then, it struck her that gentle whisper of encouragement. It wasn't about them. They were merely vessels, ready to share a divine tapestry with each thread representing a life touched, hopes reignited, and spirits uplifted. The promise lay not in their performance but in the authenticity of their testimony. One by one, they began sharing. Sarah watched the audience lean in, interest sparking in eyes as stories unfolded. She felt an overwhelming presence of love, an unseen thread connecting hearts. They were no longer a family standing alone, they were a community aligned under the banner of hope and faith. A soft glow settled over the gathering, illuminating faces, reflecting a mix of joy and contemplation. There was laughter, a few tears, but most importantly, there was resonance. Each story, however fragile, became a piece of the larger mosaic of grace. But just as Sarah's heart began to swell with gratitude, a thought flickered. What else could God be orchestrating here tonight? Was there more for them to discover, more hearts to reach? The night was still young, and her thoughts danced around the potential conversations that lay ahead. The journey had only just begun. What revelations awaited them in the conversations to come? How might their stories interweave with others to create a shift in destiny? They were about to step into an unknown, an open invitation to witness something miraculous. The air in the hall thickened with anticipation as stories flowed freely, each one building a bridge of connection. As Emma shared her own artistic journey, her voice trembled with sincerity. "When I painted, I felt like I was letting my heart speak." Her words resonated, invoking soft smiles and nods from the crowd. It was a simple declaration, but it held profound depth, vulnerability wrapped in the warmth of community. Mark took his turn next. His hands gestured passionately as he recounted the hardships they had faced, weaving in moments of despair that turned into trials of faith. Each challenge was an invitation to lean into hope, to see God's hand moving in our lives. Sarah observed the audience, captivated by the power of their testimony. She saw familiar faces reflecting longing, understanding, even healing. In this sacred space, they were sharing not just words, but pieces of their souls. Her heart swelled, nearly bursting with gratitude. As stories continued, a palpable energy began to pulse through the gathering. Laughter erupted from one corner as a woman shared a light-hearted tale of mishaps in her attempt to bless others with her crafts. Others chimed in, echoing sentiments of hope and joy amidst life's chaos. There was a divine dance taking place, a tapestry of lives intertwining, forming a vibrant picture of shared faith. Time slipped away unnoticed. Sarah's thoughts drifted back to the prayer from earlier. She had sought clarity, expecting direction, yet had been gifted something far richer. The moments shared among them felt like holy threads weaving into something larger than herself. What if this was just the beginning? Could a single conversation unravel a hidden passion within someone else that would, in turn, bring healing to many? Amidst the chatter, a voice caught her ear, a man standing near the entrance. "I feel a tug on my heart tonight." His voice held weight, his body language speaking the vulnerability of a man struggling with his own journey. Gripped with emotion, he confessed, "I've lost my way in my passion for music, and for so long, it's felt like a burden." The crowd leaned closer, each person attuned to his struggle, the collective energy shifted, the aim now was to lift him up. Sarah felt a compelling urge to step forward. "Music carries the soul's cry," she began, her heart pounding as she spoke. "What if you let go of expectations? Just play for the joy it brings you." His eyes met hers, flickering with recognition. A few others echoed her sentiments, sharing anecdotes of their own creative rebirths. Encouragement rolled like waves, lifting his spirit. For every singer in the room who had once hesitated, their stories were the wind beneath his wings, urging him to rise again. In that moment, Sarah recognized the beauty of shared burdens. Not just sharing art but the very essence of dreams revived through community. It was life's messy but glorious reality, the miraculous shift that happens when you open your heart to others. As the gathering began to wind down, a hush settled over the crowd. It was a silence filled with contemplation, a moment suspended in time. The Spirit's presence was thick, a wrapping of comfort and hope woven through their knitted stories. Then, a gentle clarion call echoed in her heart. Was this all an invitation to a new adventure or a divine push toward deeper purpose? Who else might be waiting for a spark? The thought ignited a flicker of excitement within her. The weight of this night hung heavy with promise. What new paths would emerge from these gathered spirits? Were they to embark on a collective journey toward creating something even greater together? With hearts open and eyes alight, Sarah pondered what lay ahead, what miraculous awakenings might still wait to unfold. The atmosphere settled around them, a warm blanket of peace wrapped in gentle expectancy. Sarah glanced around the room, her heart brimming with a mixture of hope and wonder. Each face before her radiated stories waiting to be told, tales of heartaches, victories, and hidden dreams yearning for expression. As the last echoes of laughter faded, a soft voice broke the silence. It was an elderly woman named Grace, her eyes shimmering with wisdom. "I've often felt misplaced in my own craft," she confessed, her gaze sweeping across the room. "I used to knit with joy, creating pieces filled with love, but lately, my heart hasn't been in it." A murmur of understanding rippled through the gathering. It was a shared experience. The quiet exchange of knowing glances spoke volumes. Sarah felt the collective yearning. What if we listened to our hearts again? She asked softly. What if we rediscovered those passions buried under life's demands? The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Grace's brow furrowed as she considered the proposition. But how do I find that joy once more? Sarah took a step forward. Sometimes, we need to peel back the layers. What if creativity is like a garden? It needs cultivation, care, and a little faith to blossom. Mark chimed in, every artist faces seasons of drought. The key is to nurture that seed of inspiration and not give up looking. Their encouragement stirred a spark in Grace's eyes. Maybe I need to reconnect with those whose lives I touched before, she murmured. Perhaps it's my turn to share my light again. All around them, hearts began to resonate with that same flicker of hope. More stories flowed, melodies of remembered passions that once brought them joy. A young man shared about his interest in photography, while another woman spoke of her dreams to write poetry. The air vibrated with an insistence on rekindling these lost flames. As the voices merged, a deeper understanding emerged. They were not just sharing struggles but also igniting a community of divine empowerment. Each story was a thread that intertwined, they were all part of a greater tapestry. The realization washed over Sarah like a warm tide. Look, she said, her excitement infectious, imagine a collaborative project. We could create something that reflects our journeys together, something that speaks to the transformative power of faith. The room buzzed with energy. Ideas floated, each one more colorful than the last. One woman suggested gathering to paint a mural, collectively contributing pieces that represented their spiritual awakenings. Another proposed a community concert to celebrate their stories through song. As enthusiasm filled the air, Sarah gazed at her companions, a profound gratitude swelling inside her. Here they were, souls connected and ignited by a single truth, they belonged to each other, woven together by purpose and passion. Then, the atmosphere shifted. An unexpected hush fell, as if the spirit itself drew close. There was an unspoken question hanging between them. What would this mean for each of them? Sarah felt her heart race at the thought of what could blossom from this gathering. It wasn't merely about reviving personal crafts, it was about birthing something more significant, a movement that could touch others beyond their gathering. But as excitement rippled, the question lingered, would they trust in this unfolding journey? Would they step into the unknown, embracing their gifts for a greater impact? The challenge loomed ahead. Could they take the leap together? The moment hung suspended, a heartbeat pulsing with potential. It was clear, the seeds of revival were planted, and there was no turning back now. What would their next steps reveal in the dance of faith? The air was thick with anticipation, each heart ready to stretch toward new possibilities. A soft light touched the room, as if heaven had leaned in to listen. Sarah felt the stirring of something profound and sacred, it urged her onward. Together, let us take a step into the unknown, Sarah proposed. Her voice, steady and pure, wrapped around the gathered souls. We can start small. What if each of us dedicated a bit of time each week to our crafts again? Imagine the sparks flying, each brush stroke, each word, each stitch filled with intention and love. Grace's eyes glimmered anew. It sounds simple, yet so powerful. Her heart lifted at the thought. I could begin a knitting circle, reigniting old friendships, while weaving new connections. Around the table, soft whispers and smiles erupted, each one catching fire with inspiration. Mark remembered his guitar, gathering dust in the corner. What if I offer music sessions? I could teach others to express their faith through sound. I'd love to join you, chimed a young woman, her face radiant. Music has always been my sounding board for prayer. Now would be the perfect time to share. Encouragement began to weave its way between them, knitting a fabric of trust. Ideas flowed as freely as their laughter. Sarah saw visions of the mural dance in her mind, a patchwork of colors driven by their shared experiences, each stroke leading to a greater picture of community. Someone suggested they meet at the park, where nature could inspire their creativity. Another chimed in, yearning for grace as they explored their spirituality together. This wasn't just about painting or singing, it was about awakening souls. Maybe we should document this process, Sarah mused. We could keep a collective journal of our journeys. Write down prayers, struggles, and victories. It could extend beyond us, reaching anyone searching for hope. A weight lifted in the room. They were no longer just individuals isolated by their struggles. They were now a vibrant tapestry woven together by a divine thread, strong, colorful, filled with purpose. As they eagerly made plans, a gentle breeze stirred outside. It wrapped around them, a warm caress, inviting and assuring. The stable ground beneath their feet felt alive, as though the very earth was rejoicing with them. Sarah caught a glimpse of God's handiwork, reminding them that faith flourishes in community. Each heart burned with intention. They moved forward, their spirits aflame, yet a quiet understanding settled softly. Despite the excitement, uncertainty loomed. Could they follow through when life got in the way? Would distractions pull them apart, or would they remain faithful, holding each other accountable? An elderly man spoke up, each of us is on our unique journey, but together, we can lift each other. So often, we forget the sacred power found in unity. Nods echoed around the room. The tension remained. Would obstacles arise? Would doubts whisper their way in? A stillness enveloped them, inviting contemplation. As they captured the moment, Sarah proposed they each take a small token, a reminder of their commitment. A bead, perhaps, or a piece of craft. Something tangible to reflect on whenever one felt their strength fading. Let us embrace this challenge, Mark added, as a precious opportunity to grow in faith and creativity. Their hearts joined in silent agreement. They were carving a path towards revival. Soon they would share their art-laden voices outside these walls, filling the world with stories of grace. Yet as the evening wound down and the sun set, a soft voice in Sarah's heart whispered, "What might you discover when you venture into the unknown?" The question lingered, tantalizing, beckoning them all into an open-ended journey of growth. What miracles awaited their touch? What depths of faith could they uncover? Tomorrow's dawn promised new revelations. Would they be ready to embrace them? The sun broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow that streamed through Sarah's kitchen window. It felt like a divine spotlight illuminating the fresh start ahead. The kitchen table, once laden with scattered paint supplies, now sat orderly but filled with anticipation. Emails buzzed, plans flowed, and hearts glimmered with hope. The gathering's success lingered like a sweet melody, reverberating within each family member. Mark, armed with a cup of coffee, scrolled through messages from friends wishing to join their new creative ventures. "I can sense it," he said, eyes brightening. "This is more than just art, Sarah. It's an awakening." As Sarah watched her children prepare the morning breakfast, laughter spilling through the air, she felt the warmth of God's presence sweeping through their home. They weren't just painting or creating, they were cultivating a garden of connection, faith, and purpose. It echoed in her heart, becoming a call to nurture every budding idea. "Today is the day," she affirmed, determination pumping through her veins as she prepared an agenda for their community art day. Her heart beat in rhythm with God's gentle nudging, a push to share their journey and invite more into the life-changing magic that faith could inspire. They spread the word around the neighborhood, sharing conversations, thrill, and inspirations. Each call and message acted like seeds launched into waiting soil. Excitement pumped through her veins as each new supporter reached out, eager to join the blossoming community. Days melted into vibrant gatherings filled with color, laughter, and the richness of diverse experiences. They painted, shared testimonies, worshipped, and created connections meant to endure. Every canvas came alive with faith-filled strokes, each piece a reflection of their journey interwoven with shared trials and triumphs. It was a celebration, a heartfelt testimony of how God moves through creativity. "One more layer," Mark encouraged one sunny afternoon, layering hues of blue and green across the mural. This symbolizes our healing journey, he said to the enthusiastic children gathered around. Like our family. Emma exclaimed, her little fingers smeared with paint, making a heart on the canvas as she grinned from ear to ear. We are strong because of all the colors together. With every gathering, they weaved their spirit into one unified vision. Sarah soon realized that they had become a lighthouse for those lost in darkness. Conversations streamed as attendees shared prayers, life stories, and dreams ignited by encouragement. They became testimony to the transformative power of faith when creativity melded with community. One evening, around a flickering fire during a prayer meeting, a soft voice broke the stillness. God transformed me this year. I thought my craft was my downfall, but now I see it as an offering, Grace spoke, her eyes glistening in the dancing flames. It's in the moments of vulnerability we embrace each other as light. It was in that circle, surrounded by faith-filled souls, that a collective revelation emerged. Each craft, each voice held a fragment of their shared testimony. The gathering had transcended into something larger than life, a community united not just in creativity, but through restored callings. They resolved to continue meeting, declaring it a weekly tradition to nurture what God had begun. That night, as she lay in bed, Sarah felt the wave of peace wash over her. She prayed, Lord, thank you for revealing your plan through our journey, for intertwining our destinies. May we honor your will in all we do. A sense of fulfillment embraced her, warm and soft like the first light of dawn. Days turned into months, and the mural grew, becoming a testament of their collective journey, a vibrant piece of art blooming with joy, reflecting every heart that joined them. It became a cornerstone of their community. The gathering thrived, pulling in even those who had once felt isolated or discouraged. As Sarah and her family gazed over the mural on its completion day, tears of gratitude filled her eyes. There's our story, she whispered to her family, heart swelling with love. This is our act of faith. Together they stepped back, enveloped in perfect harmony. The mural shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting not just beauty but a divine testimony that faith flourishes bound through trials, laughter, and creativity. As the sun set, painting the sky in a riot of colors, Sarah realized that she hadn't abandoned her old hobbies, she had transformed them. They were now intertwined with her family's story, a sacred blend of love and faith. This is just the beginning, she smiled, holding Mark's hand tightly. Together, we will continue to create and inspire, showing others that through God, anything is possible. And with that, she felt renewed conviction and unwavering grace that propelled her forward into the next chapter of their remarkable journey. Now is the time for you to be part of this divine journey. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss out on more transformative faith stories. Leave a like now to support our mission and help us spread the light. Comment below with your reactions and testimonials about this ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation of faith. This is your moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the importance of uplifting one another through these actions.